loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact.
Jai, very good, Madam. Hare Krishna. Pradesh, welcome. Your first class with us here, Bhagavatam class. You were here for a Sunday program, so you were here for the Bhagavad Gita class. So our Sunday program is our introductory community outreach program. We're saying, please come check out what we're doing at the temple. You okay?
I guess it drives. Take something useful.
You have to take dry, but don't. We can't take from here today. So our, we have community outreach programs, especially our Sunday program. It's the community outreach. But this is the deep sum and substance of our philosophy. So somehow or other our outreach program worked and we convinced you to come here, and now it's perfect. Now what you're going to get here and what we offer every day here is even more valuable than what our outreach... This is what the outreach is for, to really saturate you all in this Bhagavad philosophy. So this is the topmost scripture, what we're going to approach here. This happened after the Mahabharata war. It's just history now. After the Mahabharata war, all the pastimes were wound up with Sri Krishna on this planet. And as he left this world, and some of that is described in the first canto of how Krishna left this world. And but this dark age began to come about, because when the Lord leaves, things begin to degrade. Actually, on life, your body, it takes birth and it grows for some time and it gets youthful and beautiful. Like maybe we're in the more youthful stage, not more so than us, but still youthful stage. But then it's going to start going downhill. And then, it cannot be stopped. And eventually old age, disease, death is coming. So all parts of life, creation, maintenance, destruction. So in the span of cycles of time, there's a youthful, fresh age called Satya Yuga, and then a less fresh age, Treta, Dwapar, and now Kali Yuga. So Kali Yuga is very degraded age, and now we're on the old age form of life, and it's a very unpleasant, degraded set of circumstances here, and it will get only worse actually. But all the great sages, they gathered because they wanted to do a yajna. How can we counteract this Kali Yuga? How can we bring auspiciousness to all that are here present in this age? All of us, and all the whole world. How can we bring auspiciousness to the whole world? So they all gathered in Naimisharanya, and they were doing their yajnas, but they wanted to hear from the chief sages who gathered there. And the chief sage used to be Ramaharshan Sutta, but there was a pastime where Krishna's brother Balaram actually took his head off, but there was some, conflicts with the sages, so they said, we can reinstate him, but the father is non-different than the son, and actually Sutta Goswami became the next great sage in that assembly of sages. So Sutta Goswami was the chief sage, and the chief rishi spokesman was Shonaka Rishi, also another great sage, and he asked Sutta Goswami, what's the best thing that we can do for this Kali Yuga that's coming? And Sutta Goswami he said that the best thing you can do is hear the glories of the Lord. And then he was saying, I heard the glories of the Lord from Shukadev Goswami during the first transmission of Srimad Bhagvatam. So it's a conversation within a conversation. And so he takes us into what he heard from Shukadev Goswami. And he explains how it all happened. Sutta Goswami gives, the whole first canto is Sutta Goswami, setting the scene for how this conversation took place, all the events that happened, how, even Vyasadeva got this knowledge, how he taught it to Shukadeva Goswami. Where did this come from? So he set the scene for everything. But then now, where we're at now, we're in the second canto. Now Shukadeva Goswami is actually giving the instructions on what needs to be done. So, how Maharaj Parikshit got cursed to die, and you maybe have heard this story. You know who Maharaj Parikshit is? Arjuna and the Pandava's grandson. And so he was the listener of Srimad Bhagvatam. So anyway, so the conversation is between a fasted Maharaj Parikshit, actually an entirely fasted listening of audience, thousands of sages gathered. But Maharaj Parikshit's completely fasted, and he's focusing only on hearing, and he asks two questions. What is the duty for all persons at all times and all places? That includes you and you and you and you. So what's the duty for everybody at all times, in all places and in all circumstances? And he said, and especially what's the duty of one who's going to die? And he was about to die. So it was very relevant for him. So Shukadeva Goswami, he responded that if you're about to die, the best thing one should do is call upon the name of the Lord. And by the chanting of the holy name, you will achieve everything. So, but he said, but you have 7 days, luckily, and he gave the instance of Maharaj Katvanga. There's another history where he found out that he only had 48 minutes to live. And what did he do? He set aside all of his material duties, his family, his this, that, and the other. He dropped it all, and he focused on the absolute truth, and he meditated on the Lord upon leaving. So he said that's what one should do if one is about to die, but you have some time. And so he said the duty of all persons at all times and in all places is to hear about the Lord, to glorify the Lord, and to remember the Lord. If that is done, then the life is achieved. This is the purpose of life. And he's giving many examples. And then the whole first chapter was how to meditate on the Lord. First leaving behind one's family and material duties, at least for some portion of the day. If you're just wrapped up in material duties all day, your life is a waste, actually. This is the conclusion of Bhagavatam. If you just all day, you wake up and you're like, all right, I got to go to work, and I have to do this, and I have to do this, and I have to do this. You completely waste the life, actually. It's just just missing the point of human life altogether. And then I hope no one's listening to offended, because that's how most people spend their life. But they actually waste the whole human life this way. Just thinking that the temporary duties of this material world are important. Actually, it's never even... What makes one a human being is you inquire into what is the deeper meaning of life, what's the higher purpose, and what's the destination that we're traveling towards. This is all understood in the process of self-realization, which is Jnana Yoga, and then ultimately culminates in the highest teaching of Bhakti Yoga. So, so he says drop all these things, all these material responsibilities, and meditate on the Lord. And then he gives instructions for one who's about to die and how to meditate on the Lord. Now he's giving instructions about how to die. That's what he's teaching us right now, Shukadeva Goswami. But he was saying how to meditate on the Lord, how to see the cosmic form of the Lord with the material universe that you can see. Because right now we're not so advanced in our mystic ability. We can't go within and see the form of Narayan or see the form of Krishna. It's very difficult for our unsteady mind. We can't focus our mind very well at all. And so even to try to focus it, even for a few seconds inward, the mind gets very restless and it has to go here and there and here and there. So it's unfortunate. But he was teaching us how to take what we've seen already in our experience of this life and equate it to each aspect to the cosmic body of the Lord, and understand that there's a giant form of the Lord we're all part of here. And it gives us a certain nice conception of a universal form of the Lord here, that we're all part of a great cosmic being. And it's personal. He's giving us the personal understanding of God through what seems like impersonal. Like if you were to zoom in on what is this called? The gut biome, the cultivation the community, the civilization of bacteria which live within your gut. If you zoom in very deeply, you wouldn't recognize it's part of a whole cosmic body, right? You're just seeing like, wow, there's this landscape of slimy tubes, and there's the cult of certain probiotics, the good bacteria over here, then there's the bad bacteria over here, and then they fight and they get in all kinds of quarrels and all kinds of things like this. And there's this landscape, and it's the intestines, hills and things like that. And from a very narrow, limited vision, you'd only see that. You wouldn't understand, well, this is part of a greater cosmic bodily system here. So similarly, when we traverse the earth and we go to work every day and we get in our little car and we on the road and we're going down the landscape, it's the same thing, but on a macro level. That there's a much greater cosmic, you could say apparatus that we're a part of, a personal apparatus, and it's actually the cosmic form of the Lord. So this is the first meditation that we should understand, that we're all part of a greater personal being here. And now he's talking about in these verses, so put aside all your material responsibilities and come and sit and hear about the Lord, and then take what you've heard and start sharing this or recite this also regularly. You have family at home?
In Nepal, not
here you're riding solo. Yeah. Very good. How old are you?
31.
31. That's a nice age. How old are you, Deepthi? 31. Yes, that's a common age. I'm 34, 20, 29. So all young people are studying this. My wife will come up, she's 30. So, yes.
Like for Maharaj Parikshit, there was 7 days. There was like telling the Bhagavatam, Maharaj Parikshit was hearing. But you told about Katwana Maharaj.
Yes.
He had just 48 hours.
48 minutes.
Oh, sorry, 48 minutes.
Yes.
Was he self-realized soul because he didn't have
The whole purpose of why he told this pastime is because you can achieve perfection even if you have only one moment. He was a pious soul, and he conquered and he served the demigods nicely, but he wasn't completely self-realized. But when he was told he only had 48 minutes to live, he became self-realized in just that 48-minute time. And why? Because he just called upon the Lord, and he focused his mind and meditated deeply on the Lord, and that's the ultimate realization. And by, at death, whatever it says in Bhagavad Gita, we focus our mind on that will dictate the next destination we get. And if you focus on the Lord, even if you have only 48 minutes to live, then. But what happens though? He was very pious, and he was because of all of his good dharmic activity, he had the good sense. The demigods wanted to give him anything he wanted, but he had the good sense of knowing, well, the most valuable thing that I could know is when I could die, so I can prepare for my next destination. And then the Indra checked, like, okay, we'll check that out. And like, oh, it's very soon. Only 48 minutes are left in your life. You're destined to die. And so when he learned that, he immediately took counsel from the, I don't know exactly which sage or guru, but he took counsel, and they said, yes, meditate on the Supreme Lord. This is the best thing you could do at this time. And then he left and reached perfection in just 48 minutes' time. Now, Shukadeva Goswami told him that because you're actually more fortunate. You have 7 whole days. So I'll tell you everything I can about the Lord in that time, and then you'll die with even greater opportunity. We have even more opportunity because it's very likely we're not going to die in 1 week's time. So we can, really spend a whole life understanding and saturating ourselves in this. But there's another aspect. What you do regularly in your life will dictate your consciousness. So you can't expect, I can achieve perfection in 48 minutes. All right, well, I'll just live my life like this. And then when it's time that I'm going to die, one, you don't know when you're going to die. That's a great benediction. That's why Mother Edgecott Bungay asked. He wanted to know, when will I die? Because if you get to know when you're going to die, like if you read your astrology, and you have a good astrologer, I have about a 7-year period where I know I should probably die in that time. Between like 82 and 89, if I don't die in that time, I'm going to be in for a really miserable situation. I don't have to die in that time, but it's good for me to die in that time. So anyway, you can know, but I have like a 7-year window. Maybe I should die in this time. But to know exactly when you're going to die, what a great benediction that you could prepare. But we can't prepare. It comes like a thief in the night. We have no idea when death is coming for us, nor our relatives or anything like that. So the whole goal of a yogi is that through sadhana they prepare themselves for the inevitability, and that they have trained their mind to be ready for that inevitability, that we have to die, we have to graduate from this material world. What have I trained my consciousness to focus on? And so most people, because they're in ignorance, they focus on only temporary things that have to be left here behind. So job, career, wife, husband, children, all these things. But the transcendentalists, they focus on the transcendental subject matter. The Supreme Lord, what is really this situation that we're a part of? What is the ultimate destination? What's the deeper meaning of life? So these people will wake up and come to Bhagavatam class. Or maybe reside at the temple or something like this. And then the rest of the world will keep going, being very infatuated with the cycles here. So anyhow, your question was he self-realized? Before he asked that question, no, he was not completely self-realized. But after he asked that question, and the gravity of the importance of the time, he was able to achieve self-realization in just that very short period of time. But he had great piety. Hare Krishna, Craig. He had great piety to be able to be blessed to know when he's going to die. We don't know when we're going to die. So we should always, be like Jivana Sandhyo. We should always feel like that we're on the cusp of death, and that any moment we could go, and then we can make real advancement in our spiritual practice that way. So every waking moment, a devotee who's achieved the stage of what's called bhav bhakti, one of the symptoms is that they don't want to waste a single second of this life outside of transcendental activity. Not a single second. Not even a single second. Oh my gosh, I have free time. How can I engage in some transcendental activity? So the devotees are busier than anybody, actually. The materialists, they work very hard, but I would love, me and my wife talk about it sometime. Like, I would love to just, all right, all I have to do is 8 hours a day of responsibility. That's nothing, very easy. Just do 8 hours a day of responsibility. That's nothing. But the devotee is 24 hours a day, and even sleeping only just to repair the body so that the devotee can go out and continue the devotional work. So, we're talking about 24 hours, cent percent, as Prabhupada says, surrender unto the Lord. Cent percent. That's the goal. That's what Krishna's asking. He's not asking for okay, you give me. In the beginning, he'll say, okay, I'll take whatever you give, I will reciprocate. But the end goal, to go back for Godhead, the highest goal is a cent percent surrender. You can't have any tinge of material desire left. So Krishna, he has to make some arrangements that you maybe come back to this material world a few more times to finish the lessons here. But it can be done, like you said, in 48 minutes time. It was done by Maharaj Katvanga. So it could be done in instantaneous. But what you do your whole life, that's where your mind will be at the end of life too. So if what you were attached to your whole life, you'll be attached at the end of life. So that's why the devotees, we don't waste a single second. We develop a life of sadhana, where our life is to train us to always think and remember the Lord, to do the what is the duty of all persons at all times and all places in the Bhagavatam. You guys remember? I just said it. Craig, you just walked in right after that. Parth, you remember?
Glorify, chant,
You missed one. You combine chanting and glorifying. They're together. Yeah, that's the conclusion, is to remember. But how can you do any of those things? Hearing, Shravan, listening. Yes. So first, hearing about the Lord, which is the point of Bhagavatam class. Then yourself reciting those things, and even asking questions, clarifying to the speaker, and then, or hopefully one with knowledge. I have so little knowledge, but there's people with much more knowledge, and we'd love to connect you with them. And then this will enable you to remember the Lord. So now, you're kind of caught up now. I gave a real sum and substance summary of where we're at, and if you come regularly, you have a job?
Yes.
Yeah, what time you go in usually?
This is always different. So, but I start, most of the time I start my day at 6 a.m.
6 a.m. So, no problem. Then you come, maybe you can come on the evenings, Wednesday and Friday evening, Saturday morning and Sunday, and that's a good program actually.
Yeah.
So you do it your best can. So, so you're not just waking up and just going right into work and only doing material duties. You know, your life has a deeper meaning to that. You already know this. You've probably heard this before. You come from good culture. You know, the Nepalis. You know, this all used to be part of the greater Bharatvarsha in ancient times. So you actually come from a glorious place in the Himalayan mountains. You know, so you have a great prospect to make lots of advancement in this life. Everyone does. If you somehow come to Krishna consciousness, whether you're in a Western body or if you somehow come to this divine philosophy, you're ready to make the greatest advancement in life. So anyway, we'll see. Now let's continue. Where Shukadev Goswami, he's teaching us how to be situated in the Lord, and then actually how to properly die, how the yogis die. Now Prabhupada is giving all kinds of consolation here. It's like, all right, the whole point of this isn't so that you go and then practice these techniques and die and leave your body. It's to be engaged in the point of dying, and that's in devotional service, to be engaged in bhakti yoga. So he's teaching us how we, even at the temple, by the activities that we do, and by hearing Bhagavatam, and by chanting the holy names, all these processes are actually engaging us in this process of how to die. And gonna give us the supreme destination. So the last thing we read is, by the strength of scientific knowledge, one should be well situated in absolute realization and thus be able to extinguish all material desire. So you're totally focused on the Lord and no material desire is left. And then one, give up the material body by blocking the air hole, like it's the anus, through which stool is evacuated with the heel of one's foot, and by lifting the life air from one place to another in the 6 primary places. Now, Prabhupada mentioned, in this age, this training is practically all but lost. No one's trained in these yogic arts anymore of being able to move the prana through the chakra system. Some training is there. I even trained in some of these things many years ago. Not too many, but like about a decade ago I was trying to train in some of these things. But Prabhupada was giving the consolation that in this Kali age, the conclusion of this whole Bhagavatam is going, that just by engaging and chanting the holy names of the Lord, just by hearing about the Lord as much as we possibly can, and in trying ourselves to share these glories with others, we will remember the Lord. And that's the sum and substance of what the yogi is trying to do. So, we didn't read this one last time, did we? 20, where we're at? No. So before we begin, let's chant some Mangalacharana prayers. Madhav, maybe you can share the screen.
Shirupam Sagrajatang Sagara Gunata Britam Sajivam Advaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakamitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Bhakti Kancana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sate Devi Paramami Hare Hare Namaste Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shri Advaita Gadada Sivasari Gaura Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare
Read. We are begging the mercy and blessings of our spiritual master, our gurus, which are connecting us to this divine lineage of wisdom bearers coming from the Supreme Lord himself. Aviram, please. And then I want to offer my obeisances, my heart and deep honor and respect to all of the lineage of gurus from which this knowledge has come down to us, including Srila Prabhupada, whose books we're studying and purports and ecstasies that we're getting a glimpse into. And finally, I want to offer my obeisances unto all of my spiritual brothers and sisters, especially you all here. Vanchakalpa, Taribhishcha, Kripa, Sindhu Devacha, Patitanang Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. So, we are continuing with our reading of Srimad Bhagvatam, How to Die. How the yogi dies, we should say. But the devotee, it should be understood, the devotee doesn't have to worry about time and place and circumstance, because they're so absorbed in the Lord, they trust the Lord will arrange everything. But for those who maybe we have some worry about that, then these are the techniques about how to properly situate oneself for death, for an auspicious destination. So ready? Nabhyang stitang hrid yadiropya tasmad Udanagatyorasitang nayen muni Tatonu sandaya diyamanasvi Svatalu mulang shanakernayeta Nabhyam, on the navel. Sthitam, situated. Hridi, in the heart. Adiropya, by placing. Tasmat, from there. Udana, soaring. Gatya, force. Urasi, on the chest. Tam, thereafter. Nayet, should draw. Muni, the meditative devotee. Tata, then. Anusandaya, just to search out. Diya, by intelligence. Manasvi, the meditative. Swatalu mulam, at the root of the palate. Shanakai, slowly. Nayet, may be brought in. Okay. The meditative devotee should slowly push up the life air from the navel to the heart, from there to the chest, and from there to the root of the palate. He should search out the proper places with intelligence. Purport. There are 6 circles of the movement of the life air, and the intelligent bhakti yogi should search out these places with intelligence and in a meditative mood. Among these, mentioned above is the Svadhisthana chakra, or the powerhouse of the life air. And above this, just below the abdomen and navel, is the Manipuraka chakra. So if you want to know where the Svadhisthana, this is the navel. There's the Muladhara chakra, which is the anus, and we want to bring the life air away from the lower chakras. And then, what is the... I'm forgetting. I used to know all of these chakras very well. Devi, you remember the reproductive chakra? Name it's called.
Second, third, what?
The second chakra.
No.
Anyway, it's the reproductive chakra where you pass urine, and also you
Can you say Muladhara chakra?
Muladhara.
It's the root chakra.
No, it might be Muladhara chakra. I think it is the Muladhara chakra. Yes, Muladhara chakra. And then after that is the Svadhisthana chakra. The navel, and this is where you digest your food and all these things. And this is, most people can't go past this chakra. They don't get to raise the chakra any more than that. And they're the more base animalistic life is eating, sleeping, and mating, and acquiring, and that's all done in the lower chakras. But the devotee and higher transcendentalists, they go up to the heart chakra and actually begin to expand their heart and open their heart also to others. And this is where compassion arises and things like this. So this is the Manipuraka chakra. So when the upper space is further searched out in the heart, one reaches the Anahata chakra. The Svadhisthana chakra is actually, I think, talking about the reproductive chakra, and then the Manipura chakra is the navel, and then the Anahata is the heart. Sorry. And then when the life air is placed at the root of the palate, one reaches the Vishuddhi chakra. So there's a bringing again the life air up from the heart, even to the throat. And then, and this is what happens when one speaks the truth of Godhead. That's why chanting the holy name. So, but this is when we take the holy name on our tongue, this is automatically opening up this Vishuddhi chakra. And then what will happen when we regularly do this? We'll actually remember the Lord, and this is done through the Agya chakra, or the third eye center. And then when we remember the Lord, we're ready to go back to Godhead, and you leave through this is called the Sahasrara chakra, the 1,000-eyed, or the 1,000 lotus petal, and you go back to Godhead, and you leave this body through this chakra. So the devotee, they carry a shika and they knot and tie it so that it keeps the energy moving upwards, because hair actually contains psychic energy. For ladies, you don't worry, you just grow your hair as is, it's no problem. Men, you keep sika, it's good. It's a good thing to do. But the devotees, they say, we're giving Vishnu something to grab. Don't worry, you do your. Prabhupada did, and so he just put his a little lower. So don't worry. So Madhav will help you style yours, correct? Don't worry. And Madhav, you have to make sure yours is restyled again. So anyway, this is what the devotee do. They're moving their center of consciousness, and then eventually their consciousness, they're moving it out of their body. They're actually ascending the consciousness through technical processes of asana, pranayama, regulating the breathing, pratyahara, bringing the senses inward, dharana, focusing the consciousness on the life air, and in meditation and achieving a very fixed state of dharana or concentration in meditation, they're able to move it up, and they can achieve the labdha-pashanti stage, or the supreme bliss. Once you leave through this is a very auspicious place to leave. There's a realm of bliss waiting for you beyond this. Yes. So, but anyhow, the devotee, we're not just going for any realm of bliss. There's certain destination we're exactly looking for. So that'll all be revealed in Bhagvatam. But this is the basic yogis. This is for like the most basic spiritual realizations. So anyway. Tasmad bravor antaramunnayeta Niruda saptaya tanunapekshaha Stitva muhurtardham akunta drishtir Nirbidya mordhan visrajet parangata. Tasmat, from there. Bruvo, of the eyebrows. Antaram, in between. Unnayeta, should be brought in. Nirudha, by blocking. Sapta, 7. Ayatanaha, outlets of the life air. Anapeksha, independent of all material enjoyment. Stitva, by keeping. Muhurta, of a moment. Ardham, half. Akunta, back home, back to Godhead. Drishti, one whose aim is targeted like that. Nirbidya, punching. Mordhan, the cerebral hole. Visrajet, should give up his body. Param, the supreme. Gata, having gone to. So, thereafter, the Bhakti Yoga should push the life air up between the eyebrows, and then blocking the 7 outlets of the life air, he should maintain his aim for going back home, back to Godhead. If he is completely free from all desires for material enjoyment, he should then reach the cerebral hole and give up his material connections, having gone to the Supreme. So we should know this. The only way you can, even Jesus says it's a very narrow pathway to heaven, and he was actually talking about this process. It's only those who can, with very disciplined consciousness, actually raise the consciousness up out of the lower and more animalistic chakras of the body and towards the higher, finer chakras of the body. They can actually achieve punching through the cerebral hole and actually taking the soul out of the body. Now, Prabhupada says this is a very technical, very difficult process. By the Bhakti Yogi, one in sincere devotion, this will automatically be achieved, actually. This will automatically be achieved without technical endeavor. But we should know the technical process as well, because it is a form of Bhakti Yoga for the meditative bhaktas. But there's elevation of bhaktas. That's for later teachings of the Bhagvatam. But we should know this. So purport. The process is giving up all material connections and returning home back to Godhead, the Supreme. And returning home back to Godhead, the Supreme, is recommended herein. The condition is that one should be completely freed from desire for material enjoyment. There are different grades of material enjoyments in respect to duration of life and sensual gratification. The highest plane of sensual enjoyment for the longest period of life is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita 9:20. All are but material enjoyments, and one should be thoroughly convinced that he has no need of such a long duration of life, even in the Brahmaloka planet. So the devotee is not so interested. You can get a demigod body, you can get a demigod destination where you can enjoy for millions upon millions upon millions of years. But the devotee is not interested in this at all, because they know it's temporary, it will end with death, and it doesn't give the lasting fulfillment. So he must return back to Godhead and must not be attracted by any amount of material facilities. In the Bhagavad Gita 2:59 it is said that this sort of material detachment is possible to attain when one is acquainted with the supreme association of life. Parang drishtva nivartate. One cannot be freed from material attraction unless he has complete understanding of the nature of spiritual life. The propaganda by a certain class of impersonalists that spiritual life is void of all varieties is dangerous propaganda to mislead the living beings into becoming more and more attracted by material enjoyments. So they think that everything is just the energy of God, but also all of your material desires. It's all just, like Osho had this kind of idea. It's all just Brahman, it's all just God. So just do anything and everything is connecting you to God. Everything is connected to God, but Krishna says there's a gradation of his energies, and if you want to associate with the stool of life, which is, a stool is also an energy of God, but, would you put stool on your plate to eat? A pig would, maybe. But other than pigs, no one would put stool on their plate to eat, because they know it's a lesser quality of what belongs in the mouth. So similarly, all the energies of Godhead are like that, but there is lesser, inferior energies in the matter and the material and the bodily senses. These energies to associate with are essentially the stool of life. So you have to watch the spiritual propaganda that just wants to equate everything as equal, because it's not all equal. There is a variety. Spiritual life is full of variety, not devoid of variety. So some impersonalist schools, they say like this. But unless you have a complete understanding of the nature of spiritual life, you can't be freed from material attraction. So it's very important we understand very deeply what this is. Like for instance, many people, I grew up in the West and we ate meat growing up. But because we didn't understand the process so much, it was very easy for us to enjoy meat. Everyone else around us was doing it, and it was, it was seemingly fine. They gave, nice commercials on TV, and, they spiced it nice, and it seemed fine. But when you actually see and understand the process, it's very difficult to have an attraction. Paul McCartney was very famous for saying that if the slaughterhouses had glass windows, everyone would be a vegetarian. Because if people actually saw the process, they'd be like, oh, nope, not attracted to that. That's disgusting, But at the same time, because we don't see the process. Similarly, with spiritual life, because we don't understand the process, we're very attracted to this material world. But if we actually understand what it is and what's actually happening here and what's the real reality behind life, we become very introspective and achieve the jnana given in the spiritual teachings, we would think, no, that's disgusting. All this degraded sex life, all this degraded material enjoyment, this is useless. So this is what will free you from material desires, is this jnana. So you have to understand. That's right. Yes, it's pretty smart of you, son. So anyhow, so thank you. As such persons, the living beings becoming more and more attracted. So this is dangerous propaganda to mislead the living beings into becoming more and more attracted by material enjoyments. So you actually have to understand the spiritual life and not be caught by these cheap philosophies, because there's so many cheap spiritual philosophies. When you come into a Krishna's giving and this philosophy, it's so sublime and so high, you'll never be able to accept a cheap philosophy ever again. So, just hear it out. So as such, persons with a poor fund of knowledge cannot have any conception of the Param, the Supreme. They try to stick to the varieties of material enjoyments, and although they may flatter themselves as being Brahman-realized souls, the other day, me and Madhav had a cute conversation with one of our associates here, and he was trying, to tell us about the spiritual sex that he was having, and in the life that he was living. But because he doesn't really have any higher information, he equates these lower base things as spiritual. Prabhupada is actually describing what he was trying to relate to us. It's just because he doesn't have a higher fund of knowledge, he can't understand what spiritual really is. So he's describing these things that he's equating with spiritual. But actually, when you go through this process and actually get to realize what spiritual is, me and Madhav were kind of a little disturbed by listening to the description, because we just understood how unspiritual that really is, But anyhow, this is the nature of if you get cheated with a lower class of philosophy in life, then you can't actually understand. You don't know what you don't know. You can't really fathom what you're missing out on. But if you sit and hear the realizations of the sages in Bhagvatam, the descriptions of acharyas like Srila Prabhupada, and if you're really blessed, you meet or get the association with a high-class Vaishnava personality who understands deeply these things, it'll all just completely destroy your whole misconceptions of life, and you'll be ready for the higher pleasure that's available, that they're offering. So anyway, so they try to stick to the varieties of material enjoyments, and although they may flatter themselves as being Brahman-realized souls, such less intelligent persons cannot have any conception of the Param, as mentioned in this verse, and therefore they cannot reach the Supreme. The devotees have full knowledge of the spiritual world, the personality of Godhead, and his transcendental association in unlimited spiritual planets called Vaikuntha Lokas. Herein Akuntha Drishti is mentioned. Akuntha and Vaikuntha convey the same import, and only one who has his aim fixed upon that spiritual world and personal association with the Godhead can give up his material connections, even while living in the material world. This Param and Parangdam, mentioned in several places in the Bhagavad Gita, are one and the same thing. One who goes to the Parangdam does not return to the material world. This freedom is not possible even by reaching the topmost loka of the material world. So we actually should understand that this section of the Bhagavatam is giving consolation also for the impersonalists. how the impersonalists can also make advancement. But Prabhupada is giving us the inner purport of the Bhagavatam. That what Krishna is revealing in Bhagavad Gita and what he'll reveal later in the Bhagavatam very conclusively is that actually this we're not trying to just punch the cerebral hole and emerge into bliss there, because that is possible. But there's a very specific destination that we're looking for, and if we perform sadhana to go to, when we do punch the cerebral hole, we're going there. We're going to a very specific place. We're looking for a very specific association. We're looking for a very specific spiritual relationship. But all that is revealed later in the Bhagavatam. But for right now, we should know that this material world is all as good as trash, and that this trash is to be transcended. And even in this life, you can transcend it. And this is the process of how one leaves this life altogether all behind. So this is the subject matter here. But understand, the goal of hearing this is not, I have to go home now and let me punch my cerebral hole and send my body out of my body and merge in bliss. That's not the point of this. Yeah, it's impossible. Even if you try, it's such a highly qualified process, you definitely will fail. You might not even be able to take your life air out of your belly and into your heart. You'll still be controlled by this. But
says, just remember Krishna at the time of death. That will take us.
yes, and that's the process. So what's the main duty? To hear about Krishna as much as possible, to share Krishna's glories with others, to chant his glories, and then you'll remember Krishna. And that's the whole goal here. And that's the first teaching of Shukadeva Goswami. But now he's just giving some technicalities. But it is good to know the technicalities. It is good. We shouldn't be lazy in understanding Siddhanta. We should, Prabhupada was saying that the way to become free of material enjoyment here is you have to understand the nature of spiritual life. So it means you do have to take the time. That's why Krishna, the whole Bhagavad Gita, he doesn't just give the final conclusive verse, Manmana Bhava Mad Bhakta Mad Yaji Mam Namaskar. No, he gives a whole Sankhya philosophy, Jnana philosophy, Ashtanga philosophy. He gives everything because it is part of the process. You should know. And at the very least, you should know because you can help instruct others on how to be a good example for them. But we also will know that this isn't necessarily the supreme process here. So the life air passes through 7 openings, namely the 2 eyes, the 2 nostrils, 2 ears, and 1 mouth. Generally, it passes through the mouth at the time of an ordinary man's death. You see at the last breath. But the yogi, as above mentioned, who controls the life air in his own way, generally releases the life air by puncturing the cerebral hole in the head. The yogi therefore blocks up all the above mentioned 7 openings, so that the life air will naturally burst forth through the cerebral hole. This is the sure sign of a great devotee's leaving the material connection. Very difficult. But also in yoga, there's a thing called bandhas. Bandha means to be bound. It's like a lock. So, you do this by lifting, if we let the lower energy flow, this is how we pass stool. But the yogi, through controlling their eating and their lifestyle and their posture, they're able to lock and control and not allow that, and this is called the Mula Bandha. I learned this in my yoga teacher training. There's ways to lock the, what's that called? The Muladhara chakra, the root chakra, how you evacuate. Then there's the Mula Bandha. From, the Mula Bandha is the root bandha. Then there's the, I forget the name of the bandha. But there's another one in the navel where you control your core, you bring it up and in, and you're directing the life up. And then there's the bandha at the neck. So the yogi, they lock their chin down and they send the life air even up higher. And then even, then they close their eyes, they block all these things, and then they suspend their breath, and they close their mouth, so that there's no, the life air can't come out through any of the holes of the body. And then the goal is that, and many, they even chant mantra, Om, and this will help to secure that their ears are not, it's not going to go out so the yogi can do all these things. But the devotee, by the process of their devotional service and their devotional strength unto the Lord, all of those things will naturally happen, actually. All of those things will naturally happen, and the devotee will achieve the supreme destination. And if not, they will surely make tremendous advancement, and in their next life, they will be able to continue progress if they can't complete the full course. So the devotee should feel no fear at all and be joyous in this process. So anyway, this is the process. It's kind of long and technical, and we're going to get into it. And if we had another short purport, I would do it. But maybe I'll end here, and maybe any comments or questions on the subject matter. It's a little technical, but Prabhupada in previous classes was explaining how by what we're doing here at the temple, by what we're doing in our devotional sadhanas here, actually we're preparing, doing the best preparation for this, for death and for this type of glorious exit of the body.
So in the life air, though, the soul is actually within that life air.
The soul is suspended within the life air. Yes, it's like the life air. There's 5 life airs. If you can imagine, like you know how atoms, they have like the revolving, electrons and things, and then there's that nucleus in the center, and it's holding tight. That's like the soul. The soul is that nucleus being surrounded and hovered in between the 5 life airs in the body. And the yogi knows how to direct the life air and take the soul out of the body. And so this is kind of the goal, because we know that this soul should not be caged in the body anymore. And so the transcendentalist who's ready to give up all, right now we're not ready. We want to be here. We're like, I can't wait to go home, go back to work, and achieve this material thing. That's where we're all at, unfortunately. But the transcendentalists, they're ready. They're ready to give it up. Now the bhakti yogi, even in this world, they know how to give it up and know how to be on the transcendental platform. But that's very high, and that's a teaching for later in the Bhagavatam. But we should understand distinguishing what is spiritual, what is the soul, what is material, and what is our affliction in this world. Why are we attracted to material desires? What is all this? It's because we really don't have the spiritual understanding yet. So we should make our life one of developing spiritual understanding, which is why we study Bhagavatam, which is why we are in contact with transcendental personalities who can answer all of our questions. We take a guru. All of these things are part of the process. And so by doing this, then when that death comes, instead of dying in fear or going to hell, passing through the anus, or dying ordinarily, passing through the mouth, we may have a chance of having a really transcendental situation if we actually understand the spiritual process. And when our whole material life collapses before us, which is the process of death, we're ready to actually, potentially make a heroic effort, towards the supreme destination. So, Granthara, yes.
So the soul being suspended in life air, like in terms of, like Radharani says, like my prananath, right? So like the Lord of like my life air, yeah?
Yes.
So like how is that related? Because actually, that's not the case for her. That her like soul is suspended because she's not designated.
Well, so accompanying the soul is
The super soul.
the super soul. So it's not just the soul, it's also the Lord is also present there. So a higher understanding is that the devotee actually, within their heart, they invite the Lord, and because they want the Lord to enter their heart, the Lord actually does enter within the heart of the devotee and accompanies them all along the way. And it's not by the technical efforts, endeavors of the devotee, it's just by the relationship between the devotee and the Lord. And so because the devotee and the Lord, and Radharani is like literally the highest devotee, so you can't pick a more unrelatable personality. Yes. You can't pick a more unrelatable personality, though, to equate to our situation. But
Does the super soul have a size? I know, like our soul is 1/10,000th of the tip of the hair.
yeah, well,
We just read some.
there is the super soul residing within the body has about a 9-inch size, in the form that he takes. But actually the super soul is smaller than the smallest and bigger than the biggest. So, he has an infinite amount of sizes.
I understand the potential there to
yeah.
do whatever he wants, but
Yeah.
I wonder if there was a specific size.
There is no specific size because he is all sizes, But we have a specific size. The jiva has a specific size, but the super soul, There may be specific sizes for a specific circumstance, like the 9 inches was given for this circumstance, and so on in our body.
So then take, an amoeba and, think about its size.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, but even our
it
soul,
can't be 9
yeah.
inches.
Yeah, well, obviously that's right. But our soul is much smaller than an amoeba. There may be a standard super soul.
10,000 to the
Yeah.
tip of the hair.
Yeah, so our soul may have some certain, it does have some certain dimensions to it, very microscopic dimensions. But the super soul of the Lord that accompanies, he may go by some standard, but he's not limited by anything. He's not limited by a certain size limit or something like that. We are limited, but he's unlimited. So that should be understood. But I don't know, I've never heard of an exact.
I was just curious.
Yeah, no,
I've
yeah.
not heard of the size either.
Yeah, I've also not heard, but you're pretty well read, so if you come across, but keep reading. So anyway, but yes, Deepti.
So I heard, in some of the people saying that devotees leave their body to their heart. But if we are talking about from here, so what I know what's the, I know.
Well, the main thing is that
Finish the other one first, because you never answered it.
what?
Because Craig asked about the super soul, and then you went on to the super soul, but you never answered the pranana.
No, I did answer. There's no conclusive.
That's what I was just saying. You said it's
There's
but
no.
why is she calling him pranana? Is my question.
Oh, your question.
But that's what we were on, and then Craig said the super soul, and
okay.
I go to the next question.
Oh.
I'm just trying to follow. No, you're fine. I'm just trying to.
Because what's normally controlling the life airs, the prana, is our soul. But the devotee gives their prana to the Lord. They're so connected to the Lord that actually He is the Lord. Krishna is actually the Lord of their prana. So what Krishna's doing, they've given their life to Krishna, in essence. So no matter what Krishna does, this is controlling the devotees. And Krishna gives, the devotees are Krishna's prananath. Whatever the devotees does, this is controlling Krishna. So I can't tell you exactly how the makeup of Radharani's body works and Radharani's prana and things. She doesn't have prana like we do. She has a completely spiritual body. But our bodies and our prana are given to our soul and dictated by our soul. But when we engage in the process of offering our prana also to the Lord, which naturally happens in devotion as we go deeper into this process, then we may understand something of the nature of what it means to have a prananath. But, her prana, what moves her body, what moves her energies, everything is her Lord. He's the Lord of her prana. So what He's doing is the most important thing. And so...
So how does this relate to like Narayan Maharaj when he was telling the devotees when they were missing him? He's like, I'm closer to you than the air you breathe.
Well, because the relationship, with Guru is actually uppercut, and so this is actually in the Leela in the heart, and this is where this heart Leela or this spiritual realm actually at the end goal, this will be our nath. This will be the Lord of our prana at a high level of devotion. So we're basically. It's not so relatable to us right now, but for those devotees who made significant advancement and have cultivated a little bit, and actually when the mercy of a pure devotee, like say Narayan Maharaj or Srila Prabhupada or so on, they have mercy on that devotee, they're pleading to Krishna on our behalf, and Krishna will arrange that we come to them, our gurus and our transcendental situation will be closer than the air we breathe actually to us. But it's
Right now it's not.
well, right now it may also, if we did get the mercy of a pure devotee, it may be like that. But we may not be able to perceive it right now. Just like that devotee asked the question, he can't perceive it, but Narayan Maharaj can perceive it. So,
Because Prabhupada was saying that, like, if you really, Swarnalata was saying that, like, actually, if you really understand Shri Guru, you understand that Shri Guru is everywhere at all times, so you will act accordingly, like at all times, and no matter what you're doing, because Shri Guru is like present there. Like, Shri Guru is in the heart, like.
Well, the Sri Guru is also an expansion of the Lord. Yeah, so the Lord is always present everywhere, and you're understanding that the Lord is acting everywhere, and may even give the facility for your understanding of Guru. But I also I'm not so learned on all these topics. so I wish I can't really speak so much on it.
Sorry, Didi, I had like a burning question.
Okay.
Answer.
And now last Deeply's question, and then we have to do kirtan.
You said about leaving out of, like, you were saying that the soul leaves out of the mouth, but then you're saying it has to penetrate through the head, so how do you reconcile that?
Well, no, Prabhupada didn't say anything about the mouth here. He said ordinary people leave through the mouth, and that the yogi leaves through the cerebral hole. So I don't know what... What's that?
The demons leave in the anus.
Yes, and the demons leave out the lower holes. So, so we're not, that's the point. That's what the point of the Sika is and all these things, it's marking this hole. This is our destination. This is where we're going to go. And even we leave a place, even if we don't have the power to do it ourselves, we say, Vishnu, you do it yourself, and you can grab me from here. So it's like our mark as a devotee. So we take. So anyway, but yeah, I mean, it was answered in this verse. Prabhupada was saying at the time, generally it passes through the mouth at the time of an ordinary man's death. So reading that, I would take Prabhupada's word. There may be some other context somewhere, but but the general yogic process is to leave through the Sahasrara chakra, and this is the portal to Vaikuntha. This is the body's natural, God-given mechanism for the soul to travel to Vaikuntha up the Sushumna Nadi. So anyway, it's like the cord of light that's connecting us, to the spiritual world. So anyway, the devotee in an advanced stage can easily do this, and also the yogi in an advanced stage with much more difficulty can also do this. So the goal will be, when he tells you how hard it is the conclusion will be like, I can't do that. And that will be good because an easier process will be given to you.
Something that was more common in the prior yugas.
Yes.
And that's why Chaitanya gave us the mantra, the Maha Mantra.
That's exactly right. That's why we need concession in Kali Yuga, and that's why the Bhagavatam's conclusion is going to be, just chant the holy name of the Lord. So we're going to do that right now. Parth, blow the conch, and we'll do the supreme process for this age, engaging in kirtan.